Okay, thank you, Dov. So, today's topic is December 4th, 5th. Why do we start asking for the rain then? What is the holiness of December 4th or December 5th? In our Sidurim by the Bracha Baruch Aleinu Shmona Esrei, it says there that we start to say Talmud Racha Mariv of December 4th, right? And it depends, is it a leap year, etc., etc. So where is all this coming from, or the year before a leap year, right? So where does all, yes, Steve?
Is it a leap year in the Jewish calendar or in the secular calendar?
Secular calendar. Right. Nothing to do with the Jewish leap year.
And
okay?
Is it the year before, you said?
Right. Or the 5th in the year before a civil leap year.
So,
Roland, you come late, you have to sit next to me. You have no choice. That's what happens. This is part of the punishment.
so 2015, we should have said the 5th. 2000, so we say it on the 5th this year.
Okay. So let's understand what is the significance of these dates and how did we arrive at these dates and why is it dependent on the year before a civil leap year and what's going to happen that, we have to give a heads up to all of the Ciner publishers before the year 2100. We'll need to give them a heads up. And we'll understand, okay, I don't know if I'll be here to do that, but I'm commissioning some of the younger ones here to commission other younger ones to make sure when the year 2100 rolls around, to make sure that they update their Sidurim. What is happening? Let's understand how our years work. And this is a thanks to Dr. Moshe Sokolow, who put all this together, and I drew from his work. Okay. Both the solar and the lunar cycles figure prominently in the Jewish calendar. Let's start with the Rambam. The Rambam in the Laws of Sanctification of the New Moon. Right, we have it both in Hebrew and in English. Chodshei Hashanah him Chodshei Levana. The years of the month are the lunar years. Shenemar Olot Chodesh B'Chadsho. The offerings of the month in its month. V'nemar HaChodesh Zalachem Rosh Chadashim. Hashem told Moshe, this month will be for you as the start of the months. Kach Amracham, the sages have said, Hashem showed Moshe in a prophetic vision the beginning of the moon, the shape of the moon. When you see it like this, kazer like this, re'eh, when you see it, kadesh, sanctify that new moon. Vashanim sh'onu mechashvin, and the years that we calculate, Haim Shanei Hachama. They are the years of the sun. Shenem, as it says, Shemor et Chodesh Ha'aviv. Guard, keep the month of spring, that you should celebrate the holiday of Pesach, specifically in spring. And we have the pasuk there, I brought that also, Shemor et Chodesh Ha'aviv. Guard, keep this month of spring, V'asita Pesach L'Hashem Elokecha, and make Pesach for Hashem your God. Keep B'chodesh Aviv, because in this month of spring, Hotziach Hashem Elokecha Mitzrayim Laila, God took you out of Egypt Laila at night, or at night we were ready to go out. Okay, so we see that Pesach has to be in the spring, and this is going to be problematic because, as we'll see in the next Rambam, the lunar year is comprised of approximately 354 days. The lunar month is 29 and a half. 29 and a half times 12, 30 times 12 is 360. Half times 12 is 6. 360 minus 6 gives us a 354. And the solar year is 354 and a quarter days. And we're going to see even that quarter is not so precise. But let's round it out to 354 and a quarter days. So basically, we are 11 days short every solar year. We complete our 12 lunar months, 11 days before the sun. We are back to that same point in relation to the sun, right? We're 11 days short for a lunar month is 11 days shorter than the solar. So, if that is the case, then every year Pesach is going to be 11 days earlier, and pretty quickly Pesach will no longer be in Chodesh Ha'aviv. in the month of spring. Let's see halacha bet, halacha 2 of the Rambam. The kami yitera shnata chamal shnata levana, right? How much longer is the solar year than the lunar year? Karov me'achad asar yom, about 11 days. Lefikach, therefore, k'sheyit kabetz min hatosevet hazot, whenever these added days aggregate, add up, kamo shloshim yom, and they're getting to about 30 days, o pachod mat o yoter mat, either a little more or a little less, mosifin chodesh echad, will add on a month. Va'osin otah shana shlosha asar chodesh, and that Jewish year will have 13 lunar months. Vihi nikrei hanikreit shana me'uberet. That is what we call the shana me'uberet. That our leap year is where we add on an extra month. Shief shaliot hashana shnei masar chodesh v'kach v'kach yamim. The year can't be 12 months and X amount of days. Our years have to be comprised of complete months. Shenamar, as it says, l'chadshei hashana, the months of the year. Chadashim atamon l'shana v'atamon yamim. We count months to reach our tally of the year. We don't count days. Therefore, our Jewish calendar is called intercalation, where we count by the lunar months, but it comes out 7 out of every 19 years, right? If you figure it out, 7 times 30 is 210, 19 times 11, well, 19 times 10 is 190, another 19 makes 209, so basically every 19 years, that's where if we have 7 extra months of 30, every 19 years of 11 extra days, that is how we stay in sync. That is why a person's Hebrew birthday and English birthday will coincide on the day that they were born, of course, right? And it will coincide again on when they're 19, 38, 57, etc. Okay. Now, what's interesting, just as an aside that I put over here, is that the Muslims follow a lunar calendar and they don't adjust. Now, 2 ramifications of that is that their holidays keep progressively moving earlier and earlier and earlier through every year, right? Something, Ramadan, which might have started, I don't know when it started, let's say it started in spring, is going to move back to the winter, then to the fall, then to the summer, and then back to the spring. Also, Muslims will be a lot older than we are, right? It was 350 divided by 11, comes out to about 30, 32, 33. So at age 33, they're going to be 34, right? Because their year, right? Now, it's very interesting. I have it on the source sheet here. I'm not pronouncing this correctly, I imagine. The Hijra is the beginning of the Muslim era, occurred in the year 621. Their calendar started in the year 621. Subtract 621 from the current Christian year, right? 2015 minus 621 equals 1394. So we count 1,394 years from the time of when Islam began. The Muslim year right now is 1437. Okay? So over these 1,394 years, they've had 1,437 years. They've had 34 more Muslim years than either Jewish, Christian, than those who calculate the years based on the solar calendar.
What about the Chinese year?
I don't know.
Because the Chinese are also on a lunar calendar.
Yeah.
And I think
but they adjust.
But they adjust? Okay. That I don't know. Okay. What does this all have to do with our asking for the rain on either December 4th or December 5th. Okay, so we know that we started mentioning the rain on Shmini Atzeret, right after Sukkot. We started saying Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGeshem as part of Hashmona Esrei. That's when we mentioned the rain, when we're listing God's Gevurot, manifestations of His power. But we don't start to ask for the rain quite yet. Let's see when we ask for the rain in Israel, when we ask for the rain outside of Israel. Let's understand why. And this bracha that we're going to soon be changing and inserting, and may God give us the rain as a blessing, that is called the asking of the rain. So the Mishnah in Tanit, the very bottom of the first page, says as follows. Bishlosha b'Mar Cheshvan sholin et ha-geshamim. On the third day of Mar Cheshvan, that's when we start to ask for the rain. Cheshvan is the month immediately after Tishrei, which is the month of Sukkot. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer b'Shiva bo. On the seventh day of Cheshvan, that's when they'll start to ask for the rain. Chamisha asar yom achar hachag. We want to wait for 15 days after Sukkot before we start to ask for the rain. Why? Kedei sheyagia acharon shebi Yisroel l'nahar prat. We want to give time for those who are traveling to and from Israel. Well, traveling from Israel back home after they had their pilgrimage, the Olat Aliyat Regel. They traveled to Jerusalem for Sukkot. We want to give them time to get home dry, not getting drenched in torrential rains. Therefore, we're not asking for the rains until they are safe and sound. And the amount of time it should take for any of them to get back is 15 days. That's why, and that's the halacha in Eretz Yisrael, they start to ask for the rain at that point. Yes, Dove.
If they're praying for rain, and these guys need to get back, Hashem may say, I'm not going to listen to you guys, I don't want them to get back. So why would we don't just pray?
Well, why would we ask for something that we don't want?
No, we do really want it.
But we don't want it then. We don't want it then.
Will want it.
We don't, as a nation, we don't want it until everyone is back home. So we're not going to ask if we don't want.
This is a very considerate thought. Was it a rabbinical thought?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yes, I agree, Ian. It is a very considerate thought. Yeah. Okay. Now, the Gemara says in Tanit, okay, again in Tanit, Chananya Omer, Uvegola ad shishim bitkufa. In the diaspora, we don't begin until the 60th day of the season. The diaspora was predominantly Bavel, Babylonia, where they did not need the rains at that point. Therefore, they only started to ask for the rain on the 60th day of the season. And here we're going to have some fun. Okay. There are 4 seasons. I have the chart there for everyone. There are 4 seasons that correspond to the 4 quadrants of the ellipse, the Earth's revolutions around the sun. Okay, March 22nd to June 21st is spring. June 22nd to September 22nd is summer. The 23rd of September to the 22nd of December is fall. December 23 to March 21 is winter. Okay, so we're supposed to wait for 60 days of that fall. Thank you very much. 60 days of that fall season. Okay, so when does the fall season begin? The 23rd of September. 60 days later is the 21st of November. So I understand. The Gemara is very clear. In Israel, they start asking for the rain. According to Rav Shimon Gamliel, as we paskin on the 7th of Cheshvan, giving people time to get back. In Bavel, they don't need the rain then. We only ask for the rain 60 days into the Tekufa. Very good. Being that rain is a seasonal need, therefore it goes according to the season. Very good. So 60 days into the season, though, is November 21st, not the 4th of December, which is 13 days later. So how do we get to December 4th, and why sometimes December 5th? Okay. The Gemara in Irvine says, Ein beit tkufa l'tkufa ela tishin ve'echad yom v'sheva sha'ot u'mechza. Every tkufa, each one of these 4 seasons, is 91 days and 7.5 hours. 91 times 4 is 364. 7.5 times 4 is 30. 30 is 1 day and 6 hours. That's how we get our 365 days and a quarter days. 365 days and 6 hours. Okay? Multiply 91 days times 7.5 by 4 seasons. Result is a year calculated to be 365 and a quarter. The problem, right?
You're showing winter starting December 23rd. We celebrate winter the 21st. Is it a halakhic?
Okay, so we're going with, this is how the Gemara says the seasons. Because we're talking about Kufat, Tishrei, right, etc.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And that's not, and for what's important, for this is how it works for us. Okay. Now, the problem, however, is that a more exact astronomical calculation of the length of the year is 365 days, not 6 hours, but 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. A discrepancy of 11 minutes and 14 seconds. So what, you might ask? Well, the Tkufa over 2,000 years moved at the rate of 1 day every 128 years, and about 8 days each 1,000 years. Okay? So it starts to add up. Over the course of 1,000 years, things are adding up. Now, when were the dates originally set for our calendar, right? We're following the solar, the non-Jewish calendar with these dates, okay? But their calendar is not really going to always move in sync with our Tekufot. Let's see how this is going to work. Is that pronounced Nicene Council? Nicene Council in 325 had correctly fixed March 21st as the vernal equinox. Each 128 years, as we explained, March 21st moved forward relative to the sun by 1 full day. 128 years later, March 21st was no longer the equinox, it was a day after that. By 1582, which was 1,257 years later, the discrepancy had reached 10 days. Pope Gregory the 13th decides, now they have a problem, right? They're 13 days ahead of themselves in their calendar, right? In other words, it's not until 13 days after March 21st that they're actually hitting that equinox. he decided to, 10 days. Let's say 13?
Was it the other way around?
I'm sorry?
They get the equinox first. And then
Oh, wait, 1 second. So, yes, thank you. Right? It actually happens 11 minutes, right, earlier, right? So over 128 years, right?
March 21st was late.
March 21st was late. After 1,257 years, March 21st was 10 days late. Pope Gregory the 13th decided to drop the extra 10 days from the calendar by making the day after Thursday, October 4th, 1582, it became Friday, October 15th. This was the Gregorian calendar that was named such in his honor. See, he dropped 10 days. Okay.
Did we lose any holidays?
I'm sorry?
Did we lose any holidays in that?
Who's we?
Well, we followed it.
Our holidays follow the months, the Chodashim, right? So it wouldn't affect us. To ensure that the problem remained corrected, he eliminated 3 leap years every 400 years. Remember, every 128 years, right, we lose a day. Remember that Tekuva moves forward 1 day every 128 years. Right? 3 times 128 is 384. Okay? So, normally, in 400 years, basically, we are ahead, right? We are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So our calendar is 3 days ahead. Okay? So what did he say to do? Let's leave off 3 leap years every 400 years. Okay? Now, this was, right? So the year, every 400 years, on the 100th year, he drops a leap year. The year, right? So normally we would have 360, a secular leap year, right, of 366 days. So in the year 2000, there was 366 days. But the year 2100, there will only be 365. The year 2200, 365. The year 2300, only 365. So that's why these 3 days that they moved forward, right, we're going to come back, stay back. Okay? Please do. Now, the result of these alterations is that in the 20th century, the day which would have been September 23rd, according to the Julian or Shmuel's calendar, is October 7th. Now, I put it over here. So 2015 minus 1582 is 433. So there have been 3 more days that we are off from the calendar. 13 days altogether. The result is that the 20th century, right, we're now the 21st, the day which would have been September 23rd, according to the Julian or Shmuel's calendar, is October 7th. Okay? So here we got, September 23rd, right, what would be September 23rd according to Shmuel is actually now 13 days after, is October 7th. The 60th day following October 7th is December 5. So, the short of this is, granted the season starts September 23rd, but according to Shmuel's calendar, what should have been September 23rd, we now call that October 7th because of this calendar change that Gregory made of 10 days, and the continued adjustment. So, our tekufot are not aligned with the solar calendar as we count, or the solar dates as we count it. Therefore, we're counting 60 days from October 7th, which is December 5. Now, since we begin Talamatar at Mariv, it turns out to be said beginning with the night of December 4th. Okay? So that's why we, according to our Siddur, we will start on December 4th at Mariv.
So on a non-civil leap year,
Let's wait and see.
Okay.
Every fourth year, however, in the Jewish year divisible by 4, that was,
Jewish year?
yes,
So we talk about the Jewish leap year, okay?
no,
No, the Jewish
No.
year.
Just a Jewish
the
year.
Jewish year divisible by 4, the Tekufa will begin after Tzeit HaKochavim on October 7th, right? Let's keep in mind, the Tekufa runs, we said 91 days, 7.5
wrong.
hours. Sorry?
It's wrong. Google's wrong.
What does Google say?
It says there's a leap year in February 2100. 29 days. 2100.
So I think he's wrong. Yeah.
Don't trust Google.
Okay. Now every fourth year, the Jewish year divisible by 4, the Tekufa will begin after Tzedek HaChavim on October 7th. So the 60th day will be December 6th, and Talamatar starts on the evening of December 5. Now, the Tekufa always falls on October 7th. However, it's 7.5. It's a quarter of the day, right? It's 6 hours, right? So each Tekufa then, right, each year begins 6 hours later. Okay? It is still calculated according to Shmuel and Julian, who assume an exact 364.25 day year. So therefore it begins 3 a.m., that's still that same day. 9 a.m., still the same Jewish day. 3 p.m., still the same Jewish day. The fourth year at 9 p.m.,
It's not the same Jewish
it's
day.
not the same Jewish day. It's the next Jewish day. So when we calculate which Jewish day to start saying, it'll then be December 5th, right? Marv of December 5th as we go to December 6th.
Apple has it right.
Apple has it right. Okay, well, I use Google for their maps, but I'll know to, and not Apple. I'll know to use Apple for their calendar. Okay. The year in which the Tekufa comes at 9 p.m. is the year preceding a civil leap year, which uses up the extra day. So the reason why it goes to December 5th has nothing to do with it being the year before the civil leap year. What it has to do with, when does the Tekufa come out at night? Right? The night of the next day. That happens to coincide with the year before the civil leap year. Okay? And that's why on those years, we'll start saying it on the 5th of the month. Okay. Now, since the year 2000 was a leap year too, the December 4th, 5th dates continue throughout the 21st century. Right? We didn't skip a leap year day on the year 2000. However, since, according to Apple, 2100 will not be a leap year, right? It's, again, on the century years, those that are not divided by 400. We drop those leap years. That's how we make back the 3 days every 400 years. The Tekufa in 2101 will move up 1 day to October 8th. Talamatar will move to December 5 and 6. So the year 2100, the Sidurim will need to say, instead of December 4th or 5th, the Sidurim will need, now if you're publishing a Siddur in the year 2090 and on, you're going to have to put in there December 4th or 5th through the year 2000. Starting the year 2001, it will then be December 5 and 6. The year 22 on Mashiach will be here well before then, right? But that is when this date will keep on changing. So actually, we are following Shmuel's Tekufa, right? His arrangement of the seasons, of the 4 seasons, each one being 91 and, what do we say, 7.5 hours, right? And we're following that, but it's not fully accurate. It's off by those 11 hours and 14 minutes, and therefore we are actually going off a bit without these Gregorian corrections that are made, but we follow the 60 days from Shmuel's Tekufa, and that is progressively getting later, right? Getting 3 days later every 400 years. Okay, so to just review again, right? So we have our lunar months, we have our solar years, 7 out of every 19 we adjust by adding an extra month to keep us in sync with the solar year, and that way our Pesach stays in Chodesh HaAviv, in the month of spring. Asking for the rain in Israel, it's on the 15th day after Sukkot, sensitively giving the travelers time to get home dry. To get home, as we would say, high and dry, but in a good sense, this case, right? And that's in Israel. Outside, according to Shmuel, we follow 60 days into the Tekufa. Now, our secular dates have been adjusted away from Shmuel's Tekufa in order to accommodate the fact that it's not 365 and a quarter days to a year, it's actually 365 and 5 hours, what do we say it was? Right, 48 minutes, 46 seconds. 11 minutes and 14 second discrepancy. Over time, this has aggregated. Gregory made the corrections and took off 10 days. Every 400 years, we also erase an additional 3 days. So therefore, the secular calendar that we have, that we follow, which is actually just about perfectly aligned with the solar seasons, that calendar is not fully in accordance with Shmuel's calculation of the Tekufot, of the different seasons, based upon which we establish our 60 days after Shmuel's Tekufa. So that's not adjusting for these 11 minutes and 14 seconds, this 1 day every 128 years, these 8 days every 1,000 years. And therefore, we keep moving every 3 days every 400 years. The day that we'll start to say V'tein Talamata Livracha moves forward 3 days every 400. It moves forward 3 days every 400 years. Like I said, I don't think too many of us will have the problem getting confused when it moves to December 5th and 6th instead of 4th and 5th in the year 2101. Roland, maybe, but the rest of us, I don't think so, right? What year were you born, Roland?
86.
86. Well, by then, you know, the longevity, they're working on that. If you're, at your 115th birthday, please God, that's where you'll remember, oh, I remember Rabbi Ciner taught me this, and you'll spread the word. Okay, we'll call it over here. Yes, Steve?
I'm going to rely on the Eshes Torah Ruach.
Yes, so will I.
I'm sure they'll have it.
So will I. Thank you.
What is that?
Is that a question?